Alright, what's going on, guys? It's Reaper here with another Wargame replay. We're gonna have a 4v4, which is soon gonna be 4v3 for 3 on the enemy side on Amaze in Japan. I'm gonna be playing with my Czech deck. I love using the Czechoslovakians on the red 4. A little limited on unit ability, but I find the unit selection, especially the infantry, is pretty strong with the Czechs. So the game plan for this game was that it is a conquest game, 500 points. I'm mainly going to be trying to stop any units from coming this way and hopefully pushing in the hotel and more of a supporting role in this area here. And then my teammates can push to the side and cap zones, and I'll be mainly just focusing on Bravo. So I got some teammates starting with T-55s on this side. I believe they're going to be pushing into Charlie. I got a couple MI2s. I'll delete one for more points. I'll push my MI2 here. And I got infantry. I got Leica Pagoda. And I'm going to put them around there in the town. Then I'll have some mechanized Motostrelki and BVT 2s, which will reinforce the town after the Leica Pagoda and the wheeled vehicles get there. Also got a strap for helicopter support. One of these guys is an airborne deck, so I was very skeptical that the strap would be able to stop anything on its own. So hopefully we'll see if that goes well. Got a OT-65, but I just started using these. They're only a 15-point recon. They got 1-point armor all around, and they have a recoilless rifle with 1.4 kilometer range, and then they have a machine gun as well. Speed up the game a little bit. Alright, there we go. So like I said, these guys are going to be the main force for this area here. Ooh. I'm not quite sure. I was playing with newer players, but AM2s are decent tanks. I wouldn't put them in quad stacks. I'd put them in double stacks, and we have ASUs. I'm not sure quite why he would use ASUs. I mean, I would rather much use the SU-122s than the SU-152. I think if I'm not mistaken, over these are pretty cheap, and I found these to be ineffective when I use Soviet decks. So we got my units pushing into the town here. I'll be watching my teammates as well, telling them to defend there. I don't know if we got one player. Yeah, do we got 2 players here or just one? Yeah, we got 2 players here, and then me and my teammate pushing up on this side. He's gonna be focusing left. I'll be focusing right. So right off the bat, our MI2 spots their CV all by itself, and it's gonna try and sneak into Boris, but I put that MI2 here because I knew I'd be able to see anything here without getting shot, I believed. So we're gonna have my infantry go hunt it down here. I love the Leica Pagoda. They have a recoilless rifle with really good range and pretty decent accuracy, which will be definitely more than enough to take out any light vehicles. So we're gonna open fire here. Recoilless rifle plus the OT-64 fires on that. And we got our wave here coming from Sheridan here. So we got LVTPs and US Marines. And then we have an M1A1 also with it. So that is going to be quite the thing to fight. But luckily I brought up a couple M7, can't talk, T-72s, MICZs. And that's going to be able to put up a fight against the Abrams. That was an M1, but later in the game they'll also be bringing in a heavy M1A1. So I got reinforcements coming up. These are the transports that I believe they use for these Lekka Pakotas, and my transports that were here got hit by the M1A1. So we're going to drop the infantry and have the APCs provide fire support, and they're going to push up in the tree line here to kind of combat these guys. There goes the recoilless rifle, and it did hit the M1. Gotta be careful for the M2s, they have really good tow missiles on them. Last line of sight, so the missiles didn't hit. The BVT-2s are very good fire support vehicles. They have 50% accuracy on the Conquerors, and a really good autocannon, which will definitely be able to take out light vehicles and infantry very well, if used properly. So we got a helicopter coming in here. I'm sorry, it's an Alpha Jet. So it's gonna probably bomb this position here. Nope, didn't bomb anything. I did bring in an Su-25 for close air support, and I had it just moving, circling this position here to provide fire support against the vehicles that were in the tree line as well as the infantry. Su-25K carries anti-tank rockets, or anti-tank missiles, I'm sorry, and then unguided rockets that will be more than enough to take on any infantry in the trees. So we have a vehicle, an aircraft coming in, Fighting Falcon. I believe that was to combat the Su-25, which is long gone by now. Straub did fire a few rounds of the machine guns, plus a couple Igla missiles. And I pulled back the OT-64 because it was out of missiles, and I am also going to pull back the BVT-2 because I'm going to have the logistic unit sent up here. Bring in reinforcements. I saw the heavy utes of enemy aircraft, so I brought up a Cub M4 for long-range standoff out of Cheriton. So right now we're just holding Boris, waiting for these reinforcements to come in and the resupply to help patch up these units here and get the missiles back up and running. These reinforcements are going to be on this tree line here to stop anything coming from in here. I don't know why. I knew he was a pretty new guy, but the units are pretty far back here. I would definitely put some infantry in the town here and then maybe put some vehicles up here as well. And there I dropped a marker on him to tell him to move up. So hopefully he responds accordingly. These guys seem to be positioned pretty well here. We got infantry in the town. So basically anything that comes down is going to take fire directly from these guys on the tree line and then in the town. So very good position in Gregory. Not too worried there, but I know this guy, or sorry, this guy here in center. If the enemy pushed here, they easily could come straight down into our spawn, which is quite discerning. So bringing in the Su-25 again, just a circle for close air support duty, combat air patrol, and then the Mi-2 I brought in to hover over this mountain, spots super M60s, which will be very nice snacks for my Su-25. So Su-25 opens fire and takes out 2 super 60s. And it's going to circle back around and see if you can finish the rest of them off. Su-25, very good turnaround radius. And empties its missiles and evacs. Good job, Su-25. Air superiority fighter, a little too late to see combat. And then we have a Cobra. I thought this was Super Cobra at first, so I don't know if I pull back my MI2. Definitely not a match against a Cobra with no armament or armor. And I am a bit nervous here with my infantry. I don't want it to get spotted by the Cobra. Again, I brought the infantry in just to reinforce this line here. Kind of scout out, see if anything pushes in and take it out as it's pushing in to Boris from this flank. This flank by now is completely secured by my units. I got Leka Pagoda watching over this road here, and then I got Motostrokli, which will be pushing along this tree line here on the mountainside. I thought by putting my units here I'd be able to stop any infantry units from coming down the mountain, but I didn't really think that was quite feasible for units to come down this way directly, so I'm going to put these units over here. My MiG-23 ML was brought in as a response, I believe for this, or the Cobra actually. I brought in as a response for the Cobra because I knew the Cobra was pushing up a little too far for my liking. I brought the MiG-23 over here on purpose because I knew my Cub and my Strop 2 would be able to take it out, so I kind of baited him in. And right there the enemy team loses a guy. So finally reinforcing this position here. Got infantry in the town already. MI4s to help take them out. MI4s are very effective against infantry, so I'm very glad he brought in MI4s. Brought him in a little bit too close though before getting spotted there. You definitely have to use maximum range on those rockets and just put fire down on the infantry with recon spotting them. Got some fire support vehicles here, and he is pushing into Dmitry quite well here. He's got units which will be hopefully more than enough to combat any resistance in that area. So right here I've decided to bring up some more AA and a Moderna. Unfortunately my OT-62, or is it 62? 64 was hit by some Rangers recon in this tree area here, this forest area. So Kolos is going to be resupplying these units here, patching it up. I am a bit nervous for these Rangers because I'm quite a ways out from my resupply. So I bring in Su-25 and Mi-2 to kind of spot and destroy those Ranger units. Kiowa is still sitting up there, but unfortunately does not spot any of my units. So I brought in the Moderna and the Strop 2 to reinforce this line because I knew anything that comes out of Sheridan is going to be there pretty quick. I did leave this area a bit weak, hoping that this guy here would be able to take out any resistance coming from this road here, but unfortunately he did not move up his units in time, and the enemy infantry was able to get a foothold in this town here. So MiG-23 ML comes in, fires at the F-16, and I brought it in to fire at this OH-58 Kiowa. Out of long range missiles, comes under fire from the F-16 and does go down. Su-25, I believe, does not get there in time to take out the Rangers before the Mi-2 goes down. F-16 goes down by the Cub. I see PIV ads, and I know that's not a good match for infantry, so I did not push up the infantry. But I am going to reposition these units in the tree line here to kind of fire down on any units that could be using this road here. Holding quite well here. Got a good foothold here, but these units aren't that spread out. And they are not attacking as well. You do have to keep moving. I was expecting heavier resistance coming down this road, especially after my wave. There was no counterattack or any units that came back in. The Abrams and the LVTs with the Marines were taken out quite fast here. So I was expecting a response. That really never came. So by the time the rest of my units come up, I am quite skeptical as what the enemy is doing here, or has in the tree line here, or especially here, since my T-72 is going to come under fire from anything that could be positioned here. So I was quite skeptical because I did believe they had some sort of defensive line here. Super M60s, and I am going to bring out another Su-25 after that one did get shot down, unfortunately. Did lose visual on the Super 60s, but he does have Mi-24s now, Kokon missiles. Did bring up a strop in case these infantry units did face any helicopters. And to just counter any F-16s or any aircraft that might come over these mountains here. And there is our first customer right there. Strop unfortunately did not have line of sight though on the F-16s. The Cobra does come down and I am going to send it out to kind of attack it. Su-25K comes in as a response to these M60s here and unfortunately comes under fire. And I am going to evac it. There was a PIVAS, I do believe it was on the mountain here. So I'm relocating these units. I'm going to put them as kind of a defensive measure in the trees here. Starting to move up a recon to see if I can spot any units in the trees here. And at 15 points, I'm not too worried about losing these units. They are quite expendable at 15 points. They're less than the T-55, but they do have a lot less armor. But I found the T-55s die pretty quick under enemy fire. And the gun on the T-55 isn't all that great, so I decided to bring in the 15-point recon instead. So I'm going to bring in elite recon units coming in Mi-25s to kind of get them up here very quick. Then I'm going to drop them off and have those Mi-25s eventually come back over here and support these units, which will come under fire from any units coming down here, which you will see in a minute. It's unfortunate that they could not be used in the push here. I'm going to push directly into Cheriton with these units, realizing that there isn't any resistance coming down this road. So I'm going to bring up a T-72 along for this push, because I'll be able to neutralize Cheriton, because the thing about pushing into spawns is that once they know you're pretty close to their spawn, they're going to just spam Apaches or A-10s or anything like that. So it's good to bring up a CV just to neutralize that from happening. So Kiowa comes down, it's going to come under fire from my strop. And unfortunately I did spot my OT-64, so the enemy is going to know that there is units here. Going to retreat the strop because there's no match for a Lav. As you see here, my units are coming under heavy fire. They do take out the FSV, but their a couple squads of Marines moving up, which will easily take out one squad or two squads of Leka Pagoda. I believe I'm going to bring back my Su-25. Yep, there it is. To hopefully take out any units here. But unfortunately, I had it on attack move, and it lost sight of what it was supposed to fire at. And it's going to come under infrared, I believe it's infrared AA fire here. So I brought in a bomber to deal with any infantry that was here, and unfortunately it hit nothing. Lost all units here, so I'm going to drop off these guys and pull back the Mi-25s as support. Now that they've been alerted to my units here, they are going to try pushing back into Boris. Got a wild weasel here. I believe that was brought in for my strop, not knowing that it was infrared. I do see it coming in, so I am going to turn off the M4. Well, maybe not. It does go down. So it did go down, but it did not spot it. Patriot being brought in by the enemy. So I'm bringing back the helicopters to support these units here. I have no defensive line here. Very vulnerable because I placed all my units here, and they are all going to be used in a push. I'm just going to use these units to push into Cheriton. Cheriton is more key than Boris. They are both worth 1 point, so I'm not too worried about leaving Boris or losing Boris, but under fire from the Rangers. Su-25 getting hit and taken down by an F-15. Mi-25 was brought in a little bit too close, and that is going to go down as well. RD fire being brought into the town, believing that the Cheriton CV was infantry in the town here. So I'm going to push up the recon to see if I can spot the CV and kill it. And these units are being moved forward. Units being patched up as well. Response being brought in from Mi-25. And the F-15 does go down. So I'm going to put these infantry units back into the town, knowing that there is no resistance in Boris. And I'm going to have a solely armored push into Cheriton. Mi-25 going down to quite a few Hueys here. And those are going to make very good snags from AA units here. Not knowing that there's AA here. Strap opening fire in the LVT armored vehicle here. Strap has a very good gun on it, able to take out pretty much all light vehicles and infantry very fast. But you do run out of rounds very fast doing that. Also takes out a combat. Very good use of this drop. That is very good. Pulls back the CV. Pretty smart. So we are in Cheriton now, and we did neutralize it, so any units cannot come through anymore. Unfortunately, I did not bring AA, which is going to be quite a few times here. Turned off the gun on the T-72, hopefully not getting spotted by the Apaches, and I dropped down some help. And I did swarm in, I did bring in a few helicopter jets to down any helicopters here. Super Cobra being brought in. Bad thing about the Czechs is that they have MiG-23 as their ASF. But all their other aircraft are multi-role, which is why I called in the bomb. I did see the Hueys here, and I know they dropped out some infantry, but unfortunately I did evac the bombers without dropping their payload. Not quite sure what he was doing here, but it is going to cost him his CV. Man, that strop is killing units. That is putting in work. Major heli rush here. I believe this is zones. Yep. Not spotting a CB. It was positioned in the here though. Infantry in the town. Infantry is arriving in the town. Unfortunately, all the resistance is pretty much already taken out by this drop. I am moving up any remaining units that were here. Brought in a and VVT to kind of deal with any helicopters. More Marines pushing into the town, and they are going to meet heavy resistance. Down to 15. Did bring the helicopters a little bit too close. Moderna is opening fire on the infantry. It is taking return fire though. And that is game. So remember to always check your flanks and never leave your spawn defenseless. I'm not quite sure why my push was not directly countered, but it did cost them one of their spawns, and in the end cost them the game. So we got a KD, pretty good KD. This guy did not get a good KD, but I believe everyone else was very positive, except on the enemy team, of course. Look at the strap. Look at that. That is crazy. Killing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 armored vehicles and 1, 2 aircraft and an infantry squad. That is very impressive. The Strap 2 are very good units. I did originally have a Strela, a track Strela with 12 missiles, but I decided that because the Strap has a longer range gun for helicopters, that the Strap would be quite more effective. And especially with the use of multi-role ability, you can take out helicopters, aircraft, armored vehicles, infantry very effectively. SU-25 more than made up his points here. Cub M4 bringing down lots of aircraft. Fortunately did lose a lot of units on the initial push into the town due to the M1 Abrams that was in the tree line. And in the push into Cheriton, Apaches really damaged my units and slowed down my push before I was able to completely cap the zone. So cover your flanks. If you guys enjoyed this video, please remember to like it. Subscribe if you want more Wargame content. More Wargame content will be coming very soon. And I'll catch you guys in the next video.